I feel the need to disclaim right off the bat that I am a fall girly. I've been talking about how I hate the insistence that fall starts earlier and earlier every year around the internet, and people have two assumptions right off the bat when you get upset about fall starting early, and one is that you're a summer person. No, I'm not. And number two is that I'm a holiday person or like a winter kind of person. I'm not. I love fall so much, and that's why I get so upset when I see it continually starting earlier and earlier every year, because I wholeheartedly believe that the only reason that is happening is because consumerism wants it to, because people stand to make a lot of money off of our excitement for the season of fall. That concept is not new. It's been happening for a long time. And so when we start to think, well, that's not the reason that I want fall to come earlier, it is a huge part of it, okay? We can't deny that consumerism and marketing plays a huge role in our culture. And that's why it bothers me truly when I start hearing about it so much earlier, because to me, fall is about slowing down, about getting cozy, about noticing the season changes, and you can't speed that stuff up. That stuff comes with nature, with what's actually happening in the seasons and outside of the things that you can buy. So instead of endlessly ranting on social media about how frustrated I am that fall is coming earlier and earlier every year, I decided to make this video instead where I talk about some ways that I celebrate fall that are completely opposite of consumer culture, and ways that can make fall more cozy, mostly for free, because in this economy, talking about rebuying your fall wardrobe in this economy, girl, please. So if that is something that you're interested in, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you're new here and you haven't heard me talk about this before, probably hit the subscribe button. I have two other videos on fall that I would highly recommend checking out. One of the videos is a story of how I kind of perceive our culture shifting away from fall being a very sustainable, with the seasons type of ritual for human culture into what it is today, and the epitome of pumpkin spice and how it became the pinnacle of consumerism during this time of year. And I also made a video similar to this one last year where I talked about more cozy things that I do during the fall. So if you haven't seen those, you might be new here, might need to hit the subscribe button, but let's get into it. Clothing is obviously a huge part of the vibes and the consumerism of it all when it comes to fall, or really any seasonality. But did you know that in the last quarter of the year during the holiday season is when the most amount of food waste is created all year? It increases by 25% during this time of year, which is massive. That's like taking a fourth of what we already create and then adding it on top during this time of year, okay? So it is really important that we remember that during this whole season. When we get excited about all the good foods that are coming at us, we have to remember not to waste it. And I think fall is the best time to eat with the season. So I think when we're talking about food, when we're trying to make things cozy without spending extra money, it is really cool to like think about what is local and in season to you and support those things instead of whatever the next packaged weird pumpkin spice thing that comes out is, okay? I saw Spam that was pumpkin spice flavored once, and I don't think we need that. The pumpkin spice of it all has gone so far. I don't think we need to be supporting things like Starbucks to get the vibes of the flavors of the season. We can look into what is seasonal and what is in season where you live and buy those things and make things with those things instead, because then you're supporting local farmers, you're supporting the actual seasons, and it's probably much better for us as well. My neighbor actually gave me a giant bag of potatoes yesterday. She just came over and told me that someone gave her too many potatoes that she knows what to do with. And I think when we have leftovers during all of the gatherings that happen during this time of year as well, we can use those leftovers to make something new and exciting rather than throwing them away. And I have made gnocchi out of mashed potatoes before. So stuff like that, getting more creative with what you're eating and making sure that stuff's not going to waste. And in that whole story I just told you, right? It's the potatoes being in season and plentiful during this time of year. It's the bringing back of community and sharing the way that humans were meant to do, slowing down and noticing those things more. It's the making a very popular dish, mashed potatoes, and then making sure that those don't go to waste by making something fun out of them instead. It's just another fun, low-cost way to celebrate the season, is more community meals. And I have to tell you, on that note, something that really helps me when I am in my hosting era, when I'm buying a lot more food for people rather than just like me and my partner, is Thrive Market, because they make things so easy to search for the ingredients I need by things that I care about, like environmental concerns or upcycled ingredients. Usually I'm saving a lot of money by shopping on Thrive Market versus other places for high quality organic foods, and that makes it a lot easier when I'm cooking for larger groups. this is the time on Thrive Market where I am stocking up on things like canned pumpkin, canned butternut squash, okay? Get in on that. I always keep things on hand to make mocktails because my neighbors will just stop by here on a moment's notice. And so I always stock up on my Shorely. It's like a 0 proof sparkling wine. Really good for mocktails. And if you're like me and want to be able to have the cozy pumpkin spice vibes in your home, I also found an oat milk pumpkin spice creamer. And I love all the things that are available to me through Thrive Market, but what I really love about them is that all of their stuff comes from a zero waste warehouse, has carbon neutral shipping, they're aiming to be the world's first climate positive grocery store, and they're B Corp certified. Why would I not support a brand like that when I'm buying essentials for the fall season anyway? So if you are also looking for organic groceries, snacks, cleaning products, beauty products, supplements, whatever it is, you should check out Thrive Market because they support this channel and I love them so much. And they are offering you 30% off of your first order at thrivemarket.com/ShelbyOrm, plus free shipping and a gift worth up to $60. I will leave that link at the top of the description for you and thank them so much for sponsoring this video. Let's keep talking about how to celebrate fall without the overconsumption of it all. Now, as a certified fall girly who loves classic fall fashion, we can't talk about how to make the fall season more sustainable without talking about clothing, because I think the hyper consumerism of clothing is like one of the biggest detriments to the environment. And that's kind of my whole passion, talking about how our actions impact the planet. And consumerism, and specifically fast fashion, is a huge, huge, huge part of that. But one thing that I think is really weird about fall fashion is that it is really built around staple pieces. It's really built around classics, things like turtleneck sweaters that you could wear every year. Warm tones, those come back every year. Plaid and leather and denim and those sort of things come back every year. But for some reason, well, we know why. Money, please. We want money. We want more of your money. Companies try to convince us that you just need to change it slightly every year, which keeps us in this rat race of always looking for the next best thing. But I have personally found that the best way to celebrate the seasons is to actually buy something high quality that is like, you are so excited to own this item and you will pack it away at the end of every season and bring it back out at the beginning of the fall season. And that is a much more sustainable way to celebrate, but I also think it's a lot more meaningful and kind of true to our style. So I'll give you an example. The fall sweater, okay? I live in Texas and admittedly, because I'm a fall girly, I own a lot more vintage secondhand sweaters than any person who lives in Austin, Texas would ever need. And once I found a sweater in the right color, in the right material, this sweater is 100% cotton. It's not itchy, it's not too warm, and it's not polyester, so it makes me sweaty. Now I don't feel the need to constantly be looking for the next best thing because I have that sweater. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind when it comes to fall fashion is that we really should be focusing what we're wearing during this season around classics anyway, and putting them away and bringing them back out at the end and at the beginning of every season will really make them feel new again. So I highly recommend doing both of those things, looking for really good quality, like the perfect thing, and only buying that one and not like a million things that you settled for, and also putting your clothes away and taking them back out every season. A third thing you could do is try to make your own. I've gotten so into sewing my own clothes this year, but you can also learn to crochet and knit and make your dream sweater, make your dream fall wardrobe. I actually found some plaid, like I think they call it canvas fabric, and I'm going to make a pleated skirt this year, and that will be my pleated skirt that I am like so excited to wear for years and years to come because it's a classic. And I don't need someone else to try to sell me something that might be slightly better because I'm going to make it exactly the way I want. Coziness doesn't require consumerism, and I really think that the fall season is meant to be about slowing down. So slowing down, not running out and buying new things all the time, and taking the time to actually create or mend the things that you want is a much better way to celebrate the season. Now, another way we can embrace actual fall without the consumerism of it all and what it has turned into is to actually understand what the seasons are and like what defines them. So I've been having this conversation on social media because I hate to see fall come early. Specifically here in Texas, obviously it stays warm. Like we don't have the idyllic version of fall, and as someone who loves fall, the idea of fall here in Texas and also what we see in the media, I really hate when people start talking about it in August and it is still like the hottest it will be all year. And specifically when I've been having this conversation on other parts of social media, people will be like, well, I live in XYZ place and we don't get fall. And it's really started to have me think that people think that the only way that fall is actually happening is if it looks like in media. If your fall in Texas and Arizona and Florida doesn't look like it looks in Vermont, then people don't believe that fall is really happening. And I think reconnecting with what seasons actually are, where they come from, what they mean, is a great way to celebrate the seasons. So to be clear, fall and all seasons are defined by nature, okay? By climate, specifically by how the earth tilts on its axis and how much sunlight we are getting. And that impacts everything around us, even if we don't notice it. So fall is a good time to slow down and actually realize what the seasons changing means. It means where the sun in the sky is different. I always notice, because I'm outside a lot, I'm a nature nerd, I can tell when it starts to really become fall because I can walk outside and I can almost hear it. I know that sounds really woo-woo of me, but I can see the sun changing. I can feel it. I can hear it. I can almost smell it. I really try to stay in touch with nature cycles because I think it's beautiful. And I think fall is the most incredible time to connect with that. And one of the ways that's really great, a free activity you can do in the fall that you can focus on how to celebrate without the consumerism, is to seed collect. Fall is the best time of year to go seed harvesting, whether that is on public land where you're allowed to take percentages of things and not a whole specimen. I personally love going out in my yard every day. It's like my own little nature walk, and I will keep an eye on the seed pods for when they are ready so that I can collect them. And then I have a little stand in my front yard where I give them back to my neighbors. That has been such a beautiful way to celebrate fall, is to go out, actually notice the season that is changing, and take advantage of some of the things that happen due to that season change. Plants literally go through a growing season so that they can put out seeds in fall. Fall harvest is huge. You can also go foraging. It's a huge time of year to go foraging for berries. You can also go foraging for nuts. A lot of those come into season in the fall. And those are free activities and ways to actually connect with the true meaning of fall instead of just buying stuff. And so along that trajectory, it means you'll be celebrating the seasons instead of just going out and buying decor. We have to talk about how fast fashion has become the guiding light for every other form of consumerism, and specifically when it comes to the holiday season and fall and all those sort of things, fast home decor. I was watching this girl's video who was I loved her sentiment, how she was talking about not buying new fall decor every year. But during that video, she goes to pick up one of her decor items and it literally falls apart because the decor that we are now able to buy in traditional stores like Home Goods and Target and Five Below, wherever people are doing hauls on TikTok and Instagram these days from, it's all just produced so cheaply, largely likely unethical, and made in a way that it's not something you're gonna have 10 years from now. And I think when we talk about decor, to actually have things in our home that bring nostalgia, that have memories attached to them, is a lot more fulfilling than going and buying cheap crap. So for instance, one of my favorite decor items that I've already had for 5 years is when my wife and I went on our honeymoon, we went to Salem, Massachusetts, which was somewhere because I love fall, somewhere that I have idealized so much. And so I made the conscious decision that I wanted to buy this pumpkin that was handmade by an artisan in the area, that I wanted to buy it and make it an heirloom for my family. So I think there's a way to switch up in our minds how we buy decor and what type of decor we're buying and what it means to actually have those feelings of positivity around the season, and how we can attach those feelings to high quality things where people are paid ethically and things are made sustainably and they won't just end up in the landfill. I think there's two ways to think about decor, right? Buying higher quality handmade items that will last a lifetime, or creating over consuming. This is something I'm really passionate about, is trying to convince more people to make things with their hands rather than always going out and trying to buy something new. It does something to our brains, okay? To actually have feelings attached to the things that we have, that they came from our own hands, our own creativity. And I think fall is the perfect time to slow down and actually try to do that. Now, you don't have to go take a ceramics class. Notoriously, they are not the cheapest thing to do, but there are so many things you can learn. You can learn crochet, you can learn to sew, you can learn to do so many smaller things. You can do upcycling projects, you can do embroidery, there's quilting, there's flower pressing, there's so many things that you can do. And I highly recommend trying to do something like that this fall. If you feel like you've been really caught up in this consumer cycle of always feeling like you need to buy something new every year, either for your decor or for your fall wardrobe, or if you're really feeling overwhelmed by being told to buy stuff every time you get on social media, try making something instead, because it literally fulfills that time. It gives you that dopamine. It's empowering, and I find it to just be so much better. So that's a great way to celebrate the season without getting caught up in the rat race. I also just love bringing in nature during this time of year, specifically like acorns. I love to bring acorns into the home and incorporate them into my decor. Leaves, I'm gonna try pressing leaves this year. And pumpkins. I'm a big fan of buying pumpkins from local farmers. And I also really love to advocate for donating those pumpkins after the fact to farm animal sanctuaries. I have done this for years. It is so fulfilling. It's like a earmark of the season for me to be able to buy those pumpkins and know that they're gonna go to a good cause after I'm done with them. The sanctuary I take mine to, the same sanctuary I got my chickens from, she is always asking for more support because taking care of a farm is so expensive and she's not like a super wealthy person. So being able to give the animals food, it really just, it helps her, it helps me. It's like a whole ritual I have with the seasons now. And maybe that's a whole other tip in and of itself, is to create new routines and habits and traditions around this time of year that don't have to do with going shopping. And that's a good way to embrace the season without doing the consumerism thing. And part of decor is definitely candles. Candles, I feel like in the last like few years, honestly, maybe like even a decade, it's been a while since I really feel like candles took off. The popularity of Bath and Body Works around when I was in college just shot up, and candles have been like the pinnacle of fall, I feel like, for a long time. And there's a great way to have that without supporting like giant companies that don't really need your money, and you can support local artisans there too. I think when it comes to a lot of these things, there's a way to do them just more sustainably and remove yourself from the hyper-consumerism of it all, from lining the pockets of multi-millionaires and billionaires alike. Money, please. We want money. We want more of your money. And I guarantee you there are so many local candle makers where you live that don't use things like paraffin wax and waxes and oils derived from fossil fuels to burn into the air. I personally am not really a candle person. I'm not really a smells person, but I guarantee you if you look at your local farmer's market, your local artisan markets, small businesses, those sort of things, there are people in your area that make candles that you could support instead of supporting the other guys that don't use the best ingredients. And fall is the perfect time to start thinking about rewilding as well. Like I said, it's a great time to harvest seeds, but it's also a good time to plant things. Mainly for me, I think perennials and trees. Some seeds you can put in the ground now, but this time of year it's cooled off. It's a natural time where seeds would go into the ground, like I said, because they're drying. So it's a good time to think about doing some rewilding, whether at your house or if you can go volunteer somewhere to like remove invasive species, rewild something, plant a tree. And if you want more information on that, I have a video about it. I'll link it up here for you. And something really important happens almost every fall, and that is elections. It is absolutely part of my fall tradition to make sure that my voter registration is up to date and that I know what is going to be on the ballot come November. Elections happen more than every 4 years for the president, and in fact, they happen more than every 2 years for the midterm elections. Elections happen almost every year. I have to vote on something sometimes multiple times a year, and the fall is no exception. It is always here. I need you to check and see what elections are happening this fall where you live, because in Austin we are voting on like over a dozen ballot measures to change the Texas Constitution and a pretty massive change to our property tax rate here in Austin, Texas. So stay informed, be aware, and make sure that voting is part of your fall traditions. Okay, hope this gave you some ideas of how you can celebrate the season and still be a certified fall girly without participating in the consumerism of it all. And I also am going to have a video next week where I upcycle, mend, and make my own clothing to celebrate the season without buying into the consumerism of it all. So if you want to make sure you don't miss that video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notifications on. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, remember, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye guys.